Improbable, unlikely, but not impossible. These five fighters scored the greatest upsets in UFC title fight history and changed the landscape of their respective divisions forever. UFC 199 April 2016 for the UFC Middleweight Championship. This was the day that Luke Rockhold lost it all and Michael Bisping gained what he had always wanted of a UFC championship. Rockhold was humiliated by Bisping, who entered the fight as a 525 underdog, implied win 16%, when Bisping caught an unsuspecting Rockhold clean on the chin with a sweeping hook and sent Rockhold crashing into the mat. Rockhold, who was seemingly overconfident, gave up his hard-earned UFC gold to Bisping, who has never looked back. UFC 193 November 2015 for the UFC Women's Bantamweight Championship. Regardless of the betting odds, this one has always felt like the greatest upset in UFC history. Seasoned MMA veterans may not have bought into the hype that Rousey could make easy work of Holm, but you won't know it if you listen to the broadcast. Ronda made a rockstar-like entrance at UFC 193 in Melbourne, Australia, before being picked apart by the brilliant kickboxing skills of Holm. Holm finished the fight in highlight reel fashion with a spectacular left high kick on his side of Rousey's head as she regained her footing. It was an impressive win for Holly Holm, who entered the fight as a 525 betting underdog with an implied win percentage of 16%. UFC 69 April 2007 for the UFC Welterweight Championship. What happens when you start believing your own hype? Georges St. Pierre had reached the top. He was arguably one of the best mixed martial artists to have ever competed inside the UFC's octagon. Not only did people believe it, but they were letting him know, as well. Georges St. Pierre has previously stated Matt Serra was a veteran in the UFC, but nobody really gave him a chance against me. So I'm going to fight this guy that basically everybody tells me that I'm going to walk through him, and I start kind of believing in my own hype. Before the fight, the bookmakers had Matt Serra at odds of 550, implied win 15%. The fight started, and Serra crashed a right hand into the skull of St. Pierre that left him wobbly. Serra heaped on the pressure and finished the fight with vicious ground and pound before shocking absolutely everybody who was watching. UFC 112 October 2010 for the UFC Lightweight Championship with odds of 620, implied win 14%. Entering the fight, Frankie Edgar was not supposed to beat BJ Penn, but he did. Although all three judges scored it differently, 50-45, 49-46 and 48-47, they each scored it in favor of the challenger, Frankie Edgar. Despite what the 50-45 scorecard may suggest, the fight was actually extremely close. Not just the fight overall, but each of the 5 rounds could have went either way. At the end of it all, though, Edgar's fast footwork hand speed helped him control the pace of the fight and avoid engaging with Penn's jiu-jitsu. It was a shock for Penn and the many fans who were watching. The prodigy entered the fight after 5 finishes in the lightweight division that included wins over Sean Sherk, Kenny Florian and Diego Sanchez. Edgar was also not considered a true lightweight, and many fans questioned his decision to compete in the division rather than featherweight. Edgar went on to prove that this was no fluke as torched BJ Penn just 4 months later at UFC 118. UFC 173 May 2014 for the UFC Bantamweight Championship. Dillashaw odds of 710, implied win percent of 12%. At the very top of this list is TJ Dillashaw's incredible performance against Renan Barão at UFC 173. Barão entered the fight with Dillashaw on a win streak of 32 and was regarded in the very elite of mixed martial artists around the world. Once the fight started, it didn't seem like the mismatch that the bookmakers had suggested it would be. Instead, Dillashaw was the one controlling all of the action and dominated Barão for the entire fight. Dillashaw topped it off in a dramatic way with a 5th-round finish of the champion. No one expected TJ Dillashaw to beat Renan Barão, and everyone was forced to eat their words after this masterclass. Want to share your opinion? Why not write for us? Previous post next.